My dear comrades and countrymen, I humbly write to you on the eve of the sitting of the nomination court to inform you that I have considered your plea for my return home to participate in our 2023 electoral process. I accept the call to run for the office of President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. My decision to stand as an independent candidate, painful as it is, arises out of two missed opportunities. Both in December 2017 and September 2020, our party, Congress, failed to allow fair competition for the presidency. As a result, it failed to unite the membership, forgive the past, and reconcile for the future of our glorious revolution. Unfortunately, to this day, notwithstanding a promise to let bygones be bygones post-November 2017 and a pledge to restore the legacy and values of our liberation movement, we continue to witness exclusionary politics, persecution of members who loyally served the people, the party, the government, and the late founding President Comrade Gabriel Mugabe. It is unacceptable that the so-called new dispensation has exiled myself and many other comrades over one key disagreement about how the internal succession process ought to have been handled. Our position was and remains clear that without intimidation and abuse of state institutions, Comrade Mnangagwa would never have won and cannot win any leadership position in a fair and open political process. Post-November 2017, together we all gave the new dispensation leadership space to govern and to make responsible decisions in uniting the party, the country, and the country. In his 2018 campaign, Comrade Mnangagwa promised to deliver healthcare for all, electricity, he promised the youth jobs, he promised educational reforms, he promised modern railway system, he promised to mechanize, modernize, grow the economy, he promised to conduct social and security reforms that predicate our international re-engagement needs. On all counts, he has failed on his own promises. The question for the party is whether Comrade Mnangagwa must be allowed to fail for another 5 years at the expense of the people of Zimbabwe. The country cannot afford another 5 years of toxic political differences, a failed economy, and social strife. It is time to settle this by throwing this matter back to the people through this election for them to make a choice between fear and hope. His conduct as party leader and state president is averse to the core values of the liberation movement of inclusive, open, and transparent politics. His tenure and leadership style so far has left our party structures, the main wing, the Women's League, and the Youth League, badly exposed and threatened by corrupt foreign hero-worshipping for ED structures which undermine elected national, provincial, and district leaders and are disrespectful to our traditional leaders. In his own words, he advised President Mugabe that the party is not your personal property nor that of your family, and let alone the country. The leaders of these drug for ED groups have unlimited access to Comrade Mnangagwa and unlimited resources, while the party structures remain unfunded. You have witnessed these developments, you have seen the photographs of their flamboyant lives and association with Comrade Mnangagwa, and have not been allowed to openly question these shenanigans. We need to renew politics in our country, reassert and give back power to the people. Comrade Mnangagwa must give the party a chance to choose between the future and the past, between the hope and fear. Among the issues raised to justify Comrade Mnangagwa's attacks on President Mugabe was that the latter was surrounded by criminals. Ironically, the gold mafia exposed the arrest of public figures at the airport over gold smuggling, the lavish lifestyle of his family, some of whom have never worked a day in their lives, shows that persons very close to Comrade Mnangagwa engage in various illicit businesses. The allegation that his family and associates have preferential access to foreign currency at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe have never been challenged or disproved. It is known that from Sandawana to Makaha, his family has taken over gold mining, including having shares in government companies. The government is silent on diamond exports, which was unaccounted for. You are all aware that his family has taken over imports, distribution, and sale of fuel. You are all aware that his family and associates are involved in almost the multi-billion-dollar Belarus deals. You have seen the obscenity of their sudden wealth, yet they argue that President Mugabe was surrounded by criminals. Despite a ban on export of lithium, you are aware that the persons surrounding Comrade Mnangagwa are in possession of export permits, that they're exporting it without any money to the treasury. The looting from the state must stop. The reversal of the indigenization process and the quiet reversal of the landmark land reform process by returning vast tracts of land to only farmers connected to Comrade Mnangagwa, contrary to party congress decision, is yet another sign of Comrade Mnangagwa's unpreparedness to respect the party structures and resolution. Such cardinal decision and resolution adopted at Congress cannot be reversed at the whims and caprices of an individual, no matter the designation. ZANU-PF is not his personal property. It has become common cause that once gold and other precious minerals are discovered, the Mnangagwa associates and family move in to claim the deposits ahead of others. The lived reality of our people is that the RTGS has lost all value. It is simply untrue that the RTGS is the strongest currency in the region when its highest denomination cannot buy a loaf of bread. The government itself, through the auction rate, accepts that the exchange rate is over RTGS 7,000 to the US dollar and continues to free fall. The Reserve Bank governor, who promised to resign if his bond note 1:1 project failed, is still in office. The Minister of Finance will lie to the public that Zino Zvakarongeka, we have a budget surplus, when in fact people are suffering. The point is simple. The Mnangagwa administration is trying to run the economy through propaganda and not through well-thought-out ideas, properly implemented policies, and government discipline. No one is held accountable for their failures. Comrade Mnangagwa selectively rewards the elite of the public service, yet the generality of the civil service is wallowing in abject poverty despite their spirited loyalty and patriotism. No attempt has been made to explain why Comrade Mnangagwa can buy over 800 campaign vehicles but cannot provide ambulances, cancer machines at referral hospitals. This speaks to the indifference to the suffering of Zimbabweans. Comrades, the problems associated with the Mnangagwa presidency are known. The solution is a return to the values of the liberation movement of the right of our people to choose their own leaders. In and outside ZANU-PF, unity, gender, racial, ethnic equality of all Zimbabweans, the ownership of the benefit from national resources ahead of foreigners. The respite our people felt politically, socially and economically during the government of national unity period of 2009 up to 2013 should be a permanent experience born out of an inclusive government culture and shared in by a general consensus. Zimbabweans must find each other through an intra-Zimbabwean dialogue process beyond the politics of conquest predicted by our highly competitive and often toxic and disputed electoral politics. I intend to lead or to be an integral part of this constructive engagement process beyond this bid for the highest office. Comrades, it's time to renew the country's leadership, enshrine a new vision and aspiration to restore Zimbabwe's glory. Zimbabwe must take its place among the world's community of nations and as a responsible member of the international community. We need to implement and uphold the Constitution and respect the rights of all citizens. It is time to reconcile, to put our past differences aside and embrace one another while acknowledging our failures and repair the damage that has been caused internally and externally. We must ensure a united approach to combat the twin evils of sanctions and corruption. The Gukurahundi question requires a permanent resolution and peaceful closure, as with other past conflicts in our history. As the saying goes, united we stand, divided we fall. It's time to reform our national institutions so that they deliver for the benefit of the majority in a transparent and accountable manner. We are called upon to strengthen institutions in line with the Constitution and in alignment with the Pan-African and international standards. Abuse of national institutions must stop. It's time to revive Zimbabwe in an inclusive economic reascendance that incorporates all and leaves no one behind. We must empower the majority to ensure that everyone plays their part as agent of development. Zimbabweans should be at the core of the exploitation of national resources and economic growth. Zimbabwe belongs to all of us. It's time to rebuild Zimbabwe, which has rich heritage of builders manifest in the ancient city of Great Zimbabwe. Let's ignite the full potential of Zimbabweans to participate in the infrastructural revolution that lies ahead of us. My dear comrades, I've written to illustrate some of the challenges we face. In so doing, I've taken the extraordinary step in these extraordinary times to make myself available for election to the office of the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. I'll be standing as an independent candidate on the 23 August 2023 national elections. In so doing, I'll be proceeding to file my candidature in the nomination court in Harare on the 27th June 2003. Please join me in the fight against fear and the pursuit of renewed hope for our beloved country, Zimbabwe. God bless Zimbabwe and all the people. It's time for hope to take over fear.